Flow. All right, so I finally saw this little number, and while I wasn't actually going to review it, given how long it's been since it came out last year and how active the fan group around it is, I figured most people have probably already seen it or just weren't going to bother. But then this happened.
And the Oscar goes to Flow.
Flow.
And color me surprised. That is huge. I don't think many people realize just how big of a win that is. That is ginormous. This is the first indie film to ever win an Oscar for Best Animated Picture. Such a big win. Gigantic. Even more so for everything Flow is as a film, given that it's a silent movie with no dialogue outside of animal noises. It's quite literally everything I wanted The Wild Robot to be in that regard. And while I don't think Flow has the most unique story or is the best looking film out there, especially from the nominees here, the moral is nice and the film is ridiculously easy to get behind and like. It's just incredibly likable. Just like the previous zero dialogue movie I reviewed, Robot Dreams. Only this time I didn't cry during Flow. I almost did, but there is nothing here that pushed me over the brink that made the waterworks start to go. It's not really sad, but it's more focused on its story and morals and having you infer things for yourself with the characters interacting and how they're going and what's going on. The world isn't as well developed as The Wild Robot or Robot Dreams is. It's much more unique and, like I said, much more abstract. You're going to have to piece things together for yourself or just come up with your own ideas and backstories. Also, the animals in this aren't nearly as expressive as, say, the cartoon dog and robot and the other animals are in the other movies I mentioned. These creatures are made to be much more realistic. To a point. They're realistic animals, but they do sometimes vaguely human stuff. It's a little weird. But as usual, I'm getting ahead of myself. That's the formula for these reviews as it goes, so let's get into it. What is Flow even about? Flow is possibly, like I said, there's no exact thing here, it's possibly set in a post-apocalyptic version of our world. For some reason, humans are gone, but there are still buildings and statues that are very clearly man-made and very old. It honestly kind of reminded me of Horizon Zero Dawn, just minus the robots, when suddenly a biblical flood starts to cover the world for unknown reasons. A lone cat is forced to join a boat with a dog, a capybara, a lemur, and a secretary bird in order to reach some destination. It's not really explained. There are just these big rocks in the distance that they're sailing over to. Don't know why, they just are. It's admittedly very, very vague, and that's kind of the point. This is a very strange film where the characters are realistic-esque animals that don't speak. They just do animal noises, even though surprisingly the capybara is actually voiced by a baby camel because capybaras are higher pitched than they wanted, so that's fun little trivia for you. That's fun. Either way, they also have these somewhat human-like personalities tied to their animalistic ones, and somehow they know how sailboats work and can steer rudders and have empathy for other creatures. I don't really understand that. It's also very strange to have a sailboat in this world with no humans, but there are boats that seem to be still around even when everything else is in ruins. I don't understand that. Whatever, I don't think it's that important. The animals are each very unique as well, with their own likes and dislikes, and usually portraying to the species. Like, the cat clearly prefers to be alone but still accepts help if offered, loves to eat fish, is attracted to shiny spots, things like that. The dog is playful and wants to reunite with his friends. The capybara is laid back, go with the flow, but a generally helpful fellow. The lemur is obsessed with human artifacts and gizmos, and this mirror for some reason and dislikes anyone touching his stuff. And the secretary bird is kind of like the mother of the group, navigating them to their unknown destination. I kind of like this dynamic. Everyone's got their own position. Nobody is too similar to the other. They're all very tropey a little bit in how you would describe them, but they're still a fun ragtag bunch of animals just kind of working towards a common goal. It's fun. I will say the animation is good. It's not the best you've ever seen, but it is pretty. It is very nice to look at. It's unique, and considering it was made in Blender, that's something. Yes, this entire movie was made in the open source 3D modeling program Blender, the same program you make VR chat avatars in. Isn't that something? Holy shit. That's beyond impressive. The film looks good for what it is, especially given how stylized the art style is. It's not a AAA studio, clearly. I mean, you're not going to compare Flow to Wild Robot. Wild Robot's gonna look better by all means, but this is a small team working in a small 3D modeling program, so come on, it's a free program. This isn't a AAA studio. Flow was made by a small team of only about 50 people, but the core was about 20. That's ridiculously small by Hollywood standards. I cannot emphasize enough how big of a deal it is that this tiny, tiny little film not only got a wide release and was seen in theaters all over, but won an Oscar. That's crazy. Complete props to the film's director. And apologize if I mispronounce these names, Gintz Zilbalodis, who co-wrote the movie with Matisse Kaza. These two hail from Latvia, and that means their Academy Award win is also the very first for Latvia as a country, so that's even cooler too. Really neat. You know me, I love my international films. Zilbalodis only has one other film under his belt, another 3D animated solo-produced film called Away that was made in 2019 and used the Maya 3D software. I don't know anything else about Away besides that it was also silent and also won a ton of awards, and Zilbalodis also did the music for that himself, so Jesus Christ, dude, calm down. Good for him though. Can't wait to see what else he can do in hopefully less than 5 years, because Jesus, 2019 to 2024, please don't make me wait to 2029. I don't want to do that, so hopefully something soon. Now, although I am gushing a lot about this movie, mostly because there is a ton to gush about, it's not perfect, as few films are. There are times where the plot slows down just a little too much to focus on isolation or give the viewers a long look at the environment, or some random tense moments that lead nowhere, and some themes are abstract while others are more obvious. For one, there's an obvious theme of unity and collaboration towards a goal, and struggling with social anxiety and agoraphobia. But then there are deeper themes that really require you to think, or at least leave it up to interpretation, such as taking the title and applying it to the quote flow of life. You can take certain events throughout the film and match it to points of life and development. How one starts out in the world, sees and interacts with others, makes friends, parents, potentially losing close friends in unavoidable ways, but moving on because everything must flow, like water or time. Maybe you could say there's something biblical about it because it's a flood. I don't think that really fits here, but it is a flood. I guess it's technically an ark. I wouldn't refer to that, but some people are, so who knows? It's up to interpretation. There's a ton of different ways to explore it. That's the point here. Sometimes I think the movie is just a little too simple. Like there's an action bit at one point with all the characters trying to work together to save one another, and that just feels just a little too weak for me, just a little too bit on the nose. I prefer it when the film is more abstract or relatable as a motley crew of animals sailing a flooded world can be anyway. What is this? Is this the Ice Age where they were pirates? What is this? Okay. Anyway, also, the world isn't explained at all. You never find out what happened to the humans, or why these different animals somehow live in the same place, or where the water is coming from, or where it's going. There's even a completely made-up fantasy creature at one point in the water that clearly has metaphor significance, but no clear reason or origin to exist. So you just kinda gotta take it and roll with it. I don't think kids will like this movie purely because it isn't afraid to take its time. It's a somewhat mature story that requires your attention, and I just don't think really younger kids can get into it. Maybe they'll be like, ooh, it's a cat, I'm gonna watch the cat movie. But I feel like they'd get bored. If I were to improve flow, I'd tighten up some of the slower bits. There's a whole scene with the crew sailing precariously through a tight set of ruins that doesn't lead anywhere. It gets them to a new location and that's it. It does build tension, but for nothing, and feels like filler. Same for that action scene I mentioned before. I'd probably scrap those couple bits and add in more character interactions. This movie is at its strongest when the central five are interacting with each other or interacting with outside characters that happen to flow on by. That's cool, I like that. But otherwise, I wouldn't change much else. This is a very solid film that requires some deeper intrinsic thought if you're going into it, so keep that in mind, but I think it's well worth it. I'm looking forward for more of Zilbalotis's work, and especially anything coming out of Latvia now, so that's really interesting. Overall, I highly recommend this movie, even if you're just not interested in silent films. It's definitely worth your attention. But for the sheer amount of work and effort put into this by such a small amount of people, it definitely deserves some attention. This is a piece of art, and it should absolutely be treated as such. Well done on the win, can't wait to see more. So, ultimately, Flow gets an 8.5 out of 10 from me. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around for another one. Yeah, I actually saw this a few weeks ago. We just put it up on the TV because we didn't want to go out to theaters. There wasn't anything in theaters at the time and we were just really tired. I think I missed Companion, but that's whatever. And god damn it, I love these silent films. I need to see the other animated films that were on the list there. I know Memoir of a Snail is on there. I'm very interested in that. I know it's going to make me cry, even though the other movies from that company did. I saw Mary and Max and that shit broke me. Oh my god, that movie hurt. And then the new Wallace and Gromit. I didn't actually realize that released. I heard it was really good, but I didn't know it was out yet. So I'll probably have to check that one out too. I like Wallace and Gromit. I think they're funny. So maybe it'll be good. I don't know. I didn't really like the Chicken Run sequel. I thought it was kind of meh and just sort of painting by numbers here. It really didn't do anything for me. I thought it was just cute and that's it, which is why I didn't review it at all. But I don't know. I kind of like where this is going. I want to see more of these films. Show me these films. I know we're getting a sequel to Wild Robot, so maybe we'll get something similar, but I know they all talk in that one. I don't know. Silent films are fun. Enjoy them, see them, have fun with them. I don't know. Anyway, did you see Flow? Are you going to see it now that it's won an award? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss a video. And yeah, that's it. Have a great day, and if you're not, have a better one. See ya.
I'm just a ghost in your stereo, the fading memory of a shipwreck in the undertow. You're just a lost song, and I'm just a ghost.